In this video, I will show you the various articles in Italian, grouped together in order to make them easy to remember. I shall start with the definite article. This is the equivalent of the in English. There are quite a lot of forms. The selection of a particular form depends on the initial letters of the word which follows the article and the gender of the word in question. Starting with the singular forms, we have il for masculine nouns and la for feminine nouns, used in front of most consonants, for example, il caffè, la pizza. You also use it with feminine words which start with the letter I when it sounds like the consonant Y, la iarda. You use a contracted form before a vowel of either gender, for example, l'acqua. Perhaps unexpectedly, this also includes the letter U when it sounds like a W, l'uomo, l'uovo. There are a number of plural forms. You use I in front of a masculine plural noun with most consonants like I libri, or starting with a vowel, gli orti, and le for feminine plural words regardless of their initial letter, which makes it a little easier, like le patatine or le amiche. I like to remember this as changing the letter A to E of the word la into the plural word le, as you do with many other words such as some adjectives and nouns. There are certain words when you use lo and li immediately before a word depending on the initial letters. I shall come to the word uno later. This affects masculine nouns, so if you are using a feminine noun, then you would use the articles previously mentioned. If a masculine noun starts with an S followed by another consonant, you use lo in the singular or li in the plural. For example, lo studente, gli spinaci, or a Z, gli zi. You may also encounter masculine nouns where the I sounds like a Y, as in lo iato, but be careful not to confuse them with feminine nouns like la iarda. There are other consonants listed, but I think it is unlikely you would encounter words starting with those, but still learn them in case you do. There are some words starting with two consonants where the second one is not L or R, which may fall into this category, so I would check on those if you ever encounter one. Bear in mind this is an issue only when you place an article directly before masculine nouns which start with those letters. The word si would have li in front of it. It is a masculine plural word, but if you place another word in between, I miei zi, then you would use I in this example because you are talking about a masculine plural noun, but it is not directly followed by Z anymore. You treat the word miei as if it is a masculine plural noun. Just to reiterate, li is used before masculine plural nouns with these letters, or if it starts with a vowel sound. There's something else I would like to point out. Words that start with a W use il, such as il whisky. You may encounter these words with lo. It may be a good idea to check which article to use when learning those words. I would advise you to check words with an initial H which are foreign to Italian, as I have seen le holding and la holding, the latter being used more frequently. The partitive article is similar to the English some or any. Its forms may look initially confusing, but there is a pattern. It is a contraction of di with a definite article. It is quite easy in speech as you contract de instead of di, but say it together with words such as lo, la and I. The contraction of di with il is del. The others are easy. Just say de with whatever article that you would use anyway. In speech, it is not a problem. For example, de lo is dello, de la is della. The issue is when you spell them. You use two L's with the word lo, la, le and the contracted L. If I wanted to say the sugar, I would say lo zucchero, I use lo because it is a masculine noun that starts with a Z. To translate some sugar, I would say de in front of the lo sound to make dello zucchero. The paint is la tinta, which is a feminine word, so I use la. To say some paint, I just say de in front of the la sound, della tinta. The indefinite article is similar to a or an in English. When we say I have a house, we mean I have one house. Italian, amongst other languages, uses different forms of the number one, uno. You use un in front of masculine nouns starting with vowels and most consonants, like un uomo, un amico. I say most consonants because if you encounter a masculine noun starting with those consonants I mentioned before, you use uno, like uno studente. This includes masculine nouns starting with a letter I that sound like a Y, explained earlier. You use una with any feminine word starting with a consonant, like una mela. Una contracts to un with an apostrophe in front of a feminine word that starts with a vowel sound, so that excludes feminine words that start with an I, which sound like the consonant Y, such as una iarda. Some more examples. Una parola, which is a feminine noun. Un'idea, which is a feminine noun which starts with a vowel sound. Like the definite article, your choice is influenced by the word following. So the word scultore is a masculine noun, but it starts with S and a consonant, so you say uno scultore. But if you use a word in between, then you use un in this example. Un bravo scultore. Because you are talking about a masculine noun, but now un precedes a word that is not one of those special consonants mentioned earlier, so you treat it as you would with any masculine singular noun starting with a B, like un biscotto. Well, that's quite a lot of information. I hope I have made this subject a little easier to remember, or at least helped you somewhat. I must admit that selecting the right article does take a little getting used to. Thank you for watching.